benefits for all veterans and reparations for the Iraqi people so they can rebuild their country on their terms.
Former Staff Sergeant Camilo Mejia served 6 months in Iraq in 2003 with the Florida Army National Guard. After a brief leave, he refused to return. He was court-martialed and served nearly a year in prison. He's now the chair of the board of Iraq Veterans Against the War, the organization that sponsored the Winter Soldier hearings. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. Back in a minute. Maybe not. Here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report, as we return on this 5th anniversary of the invasion of Iraq to Winter Soldier, Iraq and Afghanistan, eyewitness accounts of the wars and occupations.
Mike Totten, I served with the 716th MP Battalion in the 101st Airborne. I was deployed to Iraq in April of 2003 and returned home in April of 2004. For the first 6 months of my deployment, I served as a driver for a security vehicle for my command sergeant major and my lieutenant colonel. And for the last 6 months I was put back in a line platoon with the 194th MP Company. Our mission was in part to run a jail in Karbala, not for enemy prisoners of war, but just for the general population prison. These prisoners would be brought into by the Iraqi police, and then we were to show them through the processing and how we do things in America. We weren't in charge necessarily of enemy prisoners of war, but on the night of October 17th in 2003, 6 people were brought in by the Iraqi police who claimed that these 6 were participants in the actions the night prior. Therefore, they were enemy prisoners of war due to coalition standards. When these people were brought in, they appeared to be beaten already badly. They were lined up on the concrete wall, and we told them to interlace their fingers, which is a form of control, because you can grab your middle finger and your index finger and squeeze them together, and it's quite painful. Interlace their fingers, place their foreheads on the concrete wall, cross your ankles, and put your hands on top of your head so we can search you and process you in. They were tagged, they were searched, and they were also beaten. Not just by Americans, but by Bulgarian soldiers and by Polish soldiers, by Iraqi policemen, and by me. I grabbed the man by the jaw and I looked him in the eye, and I slammed his head up against the wall. And I looked him again in the eye and said, "You must have been the one that killed Grilly." And then he fell. I kicked him. An Iraqi policeman, probably the size of the biggest security man here, with hands to match the size of a Kodiak, hit a guy in the side of the head about 6 times, and I thought to myself, I'm looking at him and I laughed. I'm like, yeah, these guys are getting what they deserve. I never found out whether or not this all took place also in the presence of a lieutenant, my lieutenant, within earshot of many NCOs. I never found out what happened to these people, these 6 prisoners. I don't know where they went. I don't know anything about that. And I'm up here today to speak on behalf of all the people who haven't returned home, who can't speak. This isn't just some isolated incident. This happened in the presence of NCOs, commissioned officers, and coalition forces, not only as participants, but also as witnesses. From the night before October 16th, October 17th, the night of October 16th, my lieutenant colonel was also killed that night. My being up here displays my anger, both on multiple levels, by the Americans' behavior overseas, by our president's continuous rhetoric about Iraq being a success, about this country's citizens' and apathy to this occupation. And this is why I'm here today as well. These events happen in our name, and each and every single one of you are responsible for this as well. I am very sorry for my actions, and I can't take back what I did. I ask the forgiveness of the people of Iraq and of my country, and I will not enable this any further. General Petraeus, you may not remember me, but you once led me. You're no longer a leader of men. You've exploited your troops for your own gain and have become just another cheerleader for this occupation policy that is destroying America. General Petraeus, you pinned this on me in Babylon in 2003 following the October 16th incident. I will no longer be a puppet for your personal gain and for your political career.
Former U.S. Army Specialist Mike Totten ripping up the medal General Petraeus had pinned on him in Iraq. He served with the 716th MP Battalion in the 101st Airborne and was deployed to Iraq in April 2003 till April 2004. As we turn now to the Lucys, a mother and father who lost their son not in Iraq, but after he returned home.
My name is Joyce Lucy, and I'm the mom of Corporal Jeffrey Michael Lucy. The last month of his life, he had this flashlight by his bedside, and he was looking for the camel spiders that he could hear running around the room. And when we went over to Iraq, he asked me to hold this coin for him every day so that he'd come home safely. I had no idea that it was after he came home that I should have been holding this coin. Jeffrey's death should never have happened. The young man who in January of 2003 was sent to Kuwait to participate in an invasion in which he did not agree was not the same young man that stepped off the bus in July. Our Marine physically returned to us, but his spirit died somewhere in Iraq. As we celebrated his homecoming, Jeff masked the anger, the guilt, the confusion, pain, and darkness that are part of the hidden wounds of war behind his smile. Jeff was in Kuwait with the 6th Motor Transportation Battalion. He was a convoy driver. On the 20th of March, he entered in his journal, which I have here, at 10:30 p.m., a Scud landed in our vicinity. We were just falling asleep when a shock wave rattled through our tent. The noise was just short of blowing out your eardrums. Everyone's heart truly skipped a beat, and the reality of where we are and what's happening hit home. The last entry is, we now just had a gas alert, and it's past midnight. We will not sleep. Nerves are on edge. The invasion had begun, and Jeff never had time to put another entry in. Several months after his return, he said that he would like to complete it. We never knew that he would never get the time to do that. Our fear the whole time he was over there was that he would be physically harmed. We never imagined that an emotional wound could and would be just as lethal. The letters we received from him were brief and sanitized. But to his girlfriend of 6 years, he said, in April of 2003. He felt he had done immoral things and that he wanted to erase the last month of his life. There are things I wouldn't want to tell you or my parents because I don't want you to be worried. Even if I did tell you, you'd probably think I was just exaggerating. I would never want to fight in a war again. I've seen and done enough horrible things to last me a lifetime. This is the baggage that my son carried with him when he stepped off that bus that sunny July day at Fort Nathan Hale, New Haven, Connecticut. Over the next several months, we missed the signs that Jeffrey was in trouble. We had no way of knowing that during his post-deployment briefing at Camp Pendleton, he was told to watch the direction that he was going in his survey, or else he'd be kept there another 2 to 4 months. He was careful from then on. In July, he went to the Cape with his girlfriend, and she found him rather distant. He didn't want to walk the beach. He later told a friend at college